Everyone, it's JC here, and I'm deciding to post another a little help from sorry, I got my blanket. A little help from JC video today. Last one I went over it was seasonal depression and stuff like that. Well, that should sort of be clearing up for some people now because it's entering like January, which sometimes it's peak, sometimes it's not for certain people. But I'm starting to feel a lot better. But I figured, I'd do today's video on some personal struggles that I've been dealing with lately, just to see if I can help you get to know what it's like to have a neurodivergent brain. Because I have diagnosed ADHD. It is mild, but I also deal with anxiety and stuff like that. And I hope this video reaches the right people and helps them out with this too. So in general, um, ADHD it kind of like some people say it's like hyperactive. It is different for everyone, but um some struggles you'll probably notice if you have it is when you talk, sometimes you talk too fast and sometimes you say stuff you probably shouldn't. And I'm not saying like this is like one of those like controversial videos where I said something out of the way. No, it's I just really needed to like spell out some stuff to see if I can like I said help people. And you'll notice my movements too. That is actually part of ADHD. I can't always look at someone directly in the face. Like let's say I'm going to the store and or like ordering something at Subway, I when I forget what I order, the very thing I do is I go or like I look up, and that helps slow my brain down to where I can think clear. You'll also struggle with speech because sometimes you'll notice in my videos I pick up like pretty fast when I speak. Um, None of this is actually in my control, and that's what a lot of people forget about like people who have these issues. Um, The only thing that's really in our control is like how we like feel on the inside. Like our true intentions is really how like how much we can actually control apart from like non-impulsive things like moving around. That's more like Tourette's and stuff like that. But I guess like it does really take a toll on like job stuff because um when I'm talking to the interviewer, I don't mean to do it, but like I said, I get nervous and I can't really look at people. And even though doing YouTube has helped a lot with my social anxiety and stuff like that, it, you can't cure any of this stuff. And that's another stigma that's around mental health. You can help it, but it cannot be cured at all. And that's then, yeah. See, I kind of like throw thoughts out there. I don't want to be like that really, but I just remember the other day I was at McDonald's and I wasn't exactly nervous. No, I wasn't exactly nervous, but I am. I was just sitting there, and I felt like I just had to say that I have ADHD, and a lot of people were like, "You probably shouldn't say that because that would take away your chance of getting a job." But I feel like that would probably help with that because you're just trying to be honest, and I try to be honest as I can. Sometimes my brain will actually turn against me and make me think a certain way that's not true, and I hate that about myself. But it is what it is, and um you when you do have ADHD and really anything related to it, you want to put yourself down a lot. And that is one thing I do struggle with as well. I don't really know what way you can like keep that from happening, but like I guess if you remind yourself of like the positives of what you have about yourself, you don't really get caught up in that little blue mood anymore. Like blue mood. That's what I call it. Where you feel sad all the time. But I am like I said, I'm making this video to spread awareness about how neurodivergence can affect you. And I was told by my psychiatrist that I would be affected by everything, and she was right. It wasn't till I got diagnosed is when I realized like my whole life I've struggled with this stupid, you know, thing I can't control. So I took control of it or the best I could. And I have days where it's out of control, and I have days where it's completely fine. Um, One thing as well is that when you're subjected to change when you have ADHD and when you have anxiety and stuff like that too. At first, I thought, I can handle change, and I really can until it's like I make a plan and then the plan goes completely wrong. And if you know anything about this sort of mental health thing, you know that you become explosive. Not like screaming, yelling, throwing a fit, but like you just feel like everything's spiraled out of control. And your whole life you're told, well, control this, control that. But the whole point of having ADHD is the fact that you're impulsive. So you do stuff you don't mean to do. And I get tired of telling people that, really. There is some stuff I can control, and that's what I have in front of me. I do try to remind myself that I can't control everything, but that doesn't mean my ADHD will not keep reminding me that I can't, like that I have to control everything. Honestly, having ADHD is almost like a borderline control freak thing. I don't It's not exactly being mean about it, but it's like it just feels like when something goes wrong, it just the whole thing explodes and you can't help it react to it. And it makes daily tasks difficult too. Like you have a loss of motivation and everything. Some people say that if it's repetitive, you can do it easily when you have ADHD. That's not always the case because I get tired of repetitive tasks. I have to motivate myself to do it every single day, whether it's the chores or not. But hell, even driving can be difficult because when you're trying to drive and there's something on your mind that you haven't really told anybody, which I try my best to do that, and you don't have a blank and free mind, and you're not stressed out, you tend to get distracted by little things on the road and you kind of lose focus. And that's a big thing of ADHD too. You can't focus that well either. Um, like I said, it's not necessarily a burden, but it is something I wish for people to take more seriously because I feel like in the autism community, all this stuff's taken pretty seriously, right? I feel like there's a lack of knowledge with ADHD. And even though they kind of share the same spectrum, I just feel like there is, and I'm going to say it, there is a lack of information about people with ADHD. Now, who's to say there's not enough information on autistic people? But I remember growing up in school, I was like, sorry, I'm plugging in my laptop. I remember growing up in school, I thought I was a normal kid, which I technically was until like I had the learning disability, which I have dyscalculia. It's not exactly like that's like the dyslexic version or the math version of dyslexia, if you know that. And like I don't know, I just remember growing up feeling like I don't belong in the special needs classes. Like I couldn't concentrate, and I went so long, like my whole pretty much my whole entire life until I was like 20 years old with undiagnosed ADHD. And I feel like that didn't even start till I was like 12. And I swear, I think the older I get, the worse it can get. But that's why I'm in therapy and stuff like that. Um, I don't know if anybody can else relate to that. I didn't really feel like I fit into the special needs class because, well, honestly, it's nothing really against like autistic people or anything like that. Because I had autistic friends growing up. I still have people like that in my life still till today. Um, Kinsley, she doesn't have anything like that, but she kind of reminds me of someone who does, so I can understand autistic people. I have another really close friend who has Asperger's syndrome. Like I can confidently say I can understand people with autism. It's just I definitely feel like ADHD is overlooked because your whole entire school life you were told to sit down and pay attention, but you couldn't just do that. And I'm sure people with autism could relate to that because, like I said, we share very similar stuff. Like, both neurodivergent, we both have hyperfixations, we both have everything like that. It's just, I don't really know. I just feel like there's not really enough information floating around about ADHD. And of course, in modern day, like, we, uh, we start to see more and more information come about, like, mental health stuff, and that's great because a long time ago, well, I wasn't really, I was younger then, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, a long time ago, we never really took mental health seriously until, like, the later years. Um, and as someone who's going into it, I'm wanting to learn more about stuff like that. And I'm just kind of spilling the beans and everything about every thought I have right now in my head because of my personal struggles. Um, and let me go into more deeper detail about like the different types of ADHD. I don't have like severe ADHD. Like, some people just can't sit still at all, and some people can't focus at all. I'm kind of in the middle, unless I'm feeling like terrible that day. Um, I think she said there's mild, which is what I have, and then there's severe, and then there's moderate. Moderate is, I'm not too sure about moderate. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm just kind of being real. Like, I'm trying to be real and connect to you guys. Um, it's basically when you have it, but it's like a little worse. And I wish I knew like the difference, but I'm still learning all that. And obviously, severe is like, well, it is what it is. It's like you can't really do much of anything without like losing complete focus on something you're trying to do. Like, you'd be over here doing, I don't know, sorting your squishmallows or like trying to make your bed, but then your brains want to do both. But then you lose complete, like, I guess you lose complete, like, motivation to either because your brain just keeps going, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. I just remember my whole life, I was just like, control your emotions. Like I said, control your emotions, control your focus, listen more. And it all makes sense now that I'm an adult because my whole life I was told to do these things. But now that I have ADHD, it makes so much more sense now that I didn't ever do those things. And speaking the raw truth here, I that's just who I am. And it's not like I don't work on that stuff that I have. And I'm sure I really hope someone relates to what I'm saying. Because that's how I figured out there was something wrong with me. Is when I realized I wasn't like the other kids where I was like where everybody else could just focus and do their work. I was over here drawing, especially math. I used to when I did my math work, I used to just like doodle all over the paper instead of doing my actual work because it didn't interest me. One thing I've noticed is that if it doesn't interest me, I have a hard time concentrating. But I got called lazy for that. I got called like I just basically was apparently called a poor listener because I wasn't paying attention. But if it didn't interest me, then of course you're not gonna like focus. And I just see it now. Like, as an adult, I just see it. It's way better now. But like, I don't know. I've just been like struggling to get a job too, which that has nothing to do with my ADHD. That's just, I don't know, people just don't hire you. I think my whole point of this message, no, I believe this was my message, not I think. Uh, just because you have ADHD or have autism or have anything else wrong with you that affects your mental health, the stigma and everything. That does not mean you cannot be a functioning individual. Because even though I'm out here getting beaten alive by my own brain, I haven't stopped. I haven't gave up. Even though it's difficult, even though a lot of people don't understand it, I'm here to teach them. It's just the challenge we face now as this community, as this neurodivergent community. The challenges we face the most are the other people who have a hard time understanding. And I think that we should come together and help people understand it better instead of just accusing them of not like doing enough research or like accusing them of being hateful. We need to come together and push that aside and educate these people because not everyone's intentions are terrible. And that's because the reason why I say that is because that's coming from someone who has these great intentions, but because of my ADHD, it comes out like a fiery ball of fire. Like I say stuff I don't really want to sometimes because it just comes out. It's like you could be sitting there and someone's like, to think of an example. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of a question example, but one like personal experience, I guess, is like where I get so quick, like when I'm mad, I get so quick to think that I quite literally don't think before I speak, and it's so hard to do when you have ADHD. So like if you're already mad, that just hides it. So I always end up having to apologize for what I say afterwards, which is a great sense of self-realization. I never want to say something because I'm being mean. I don't ever want to think I'm mean, if that makes any sense. I know I can be mean. Um, but I try to tell people that's not exactly me. That's just, I don't know. Well, it's not me yapping, but I hope you got a message and it wasn't harsh or it wasn't pushy or overbearing. I hope that did not come from this message. Um, I just really needed to talk about that stuff to see if I'm not the only one. And you're more than welcome to ask me about all the stuff I have wrong with me. And I'm a very open person as well. Like, it's not just ADHD I deal with. Um, I could just come out and say run out. I was diagnosed with PTSD before you say anything. I know it sounds weird because I never was in the army or anything like that. PTSD doesn't always come from that. I just have trauma. I have small, like a little bit of it, a little bit PTSD from certain things I can't really say. Um, I have ADHD, which I mean that's obvious. You can kind of see it in the way I move. Anxiety. Now, the thing about my anxiety, it doesn't come out all the time. It's only when I'm taking like tests or driving. It's just it makes me feel kind of nervous. I think the worst I've ever gone with anxiety is when like I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. But it's that little what if voice in your head, if that makes any sense. And the last one was depression. Um, I think out of all the four, that one hit the hardest because I knew there was like something there, but I think it was terrible. Which anyone could get depressed, but I have seasonal depression, and sometimes I just get depression out of nowhere. Which I have learned this. I used to be slightly like aggressive. Like, I didn't know why. And when I went to a therapist's office, I basically was told that this anger did not come from ill intent. This anger was actually depression and everything else shielded as anger. So when I started talking more about it and when I got diagnosed, the anger kind of faded away and transformed into maturity. Um, Obviously, I'm not too mature. Like you can see my room. I'm obviously still connected to my childhood. I won't ever grow out of that. But it's true. They say that your anger doesn't always mean you're angry. And when you're angry, you're not exactly always mad about the thing that you're angry about. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like when, let's say you're angry about something small. Let's say I got mad at um something going wrong, like a plan collapsing. I'm not necessarily mad, I'm disappointed. And but sometimes that disappointment gets disguised as anger. And another good example of this is, let's say you basically like I don't forgot what it was. That's another thing. When you have ADHD, you have sometimes they call it fog brain, but you'll get into like this groove and then you'll completely forget about what you're talking about. Which anybody that can happen to anybody, but it happens a lot more people. It happens a lot more often to people with ADHD because your thoughts are racing. And well, speaking honestly, I kind of grew up in a house where it was really hard to get my words in because not only was you know it was just hard in general. Um, but sometimes when someone's like trying to tell me something, I hyper focus on their words, and then I can't let that go until they're done talking. Whatever though, that's that's just me. Um, I didn't want to trauma dump or or like drama dump on anyone. I just wanted to talk and stuff like that because well, it's been a while since I posted. I hope you take this video seriously or you don't have to. I was just trying to spread information. Um, I know it's not exactly your typical like mental health help video. It's just something that I was just talking about my experiences. And I feel like that's the best form of learning is through telling of an experience and hearing someone's experience. I don't believe the right amount of research can ever truly detect how a person really feels. It could be perfect for a borderline thing, but everything is a spectrum, and only you can know how to forge your own thinking. Uh, Thank you for listening to me rant. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope I wasn't too crazy. And I love you guys. And I'll see you next video.